Welcome to the June edition of Ask the Athletic Director. I'm Andy MacWilliams, and with me is Xavier AD Greg Christopher. Greg, I know you have been working in concert with a lot of folks around the university on a new overall athletic plan, a comprehensive plan. What can you tell us about that generally?
You know, it has been about a year-long process, almost from the time I started 1 year ago. It was one of the first things Father Graham asked for us. And essentially, it's a roadmap. We need a roadmap as we head into the Big East, new conference, new landscape in college athletics. So the strategic plan gives us that roadmap for the future. Certainly very comprehensive, put together by a lot of people. A lot of people have their fingerprints on this plan, and it's ambitious. But it's the right set of objectives too, I think, as you read through the plan. And finally, it ties us to the university, because at the end of the day, Xavier Athletics exists to help the broader university with its engagement, with its enrollment plans. And so I think the roadmap sets a great path for us in the future. And it's something our fans, it's a scoreboard that our fans will be able to refer back to, and we'll be showing everybody over the next 5 to 7 years, here's how we're doing. And you know, there's some places we're really well set as we head into the next 5 years. And then there's some gaps we've got that we need to try to fill over the next few years.
The strategic plan was labeled magis, which is, I guess, the Latin word for more.
Yep.
That means the bar is getting set higher.
You know, that's a great analogy, and we kept coming back to that as it sets the right tone. You know, I'm not sure you ever completely reach the top of the mountain when you're in athletics. It's kind of whatever the next level is. It's always trying to reach for more, and again, it's the right tone that we want in this plan.
Good things happening in Xavier sports as we wrap up the school year and the spring sports season. And the baseball team came out of nowhere and really did well and got into the NCAA.
Yeah, they had a nice solid season for their first season in the Big Ten. Got into the Big East tournament, and then you know, lightning struck, and they won the Big East championship, and that was great for Scott and the team. Went down to the Nashville. Were able to knock off Clemson there, but. Our second Big East championship, you know, to go along with men's swimming and now baseball. So great first start, first year out of the gate. We were the only school of the 3 new schools in the Big East to pull off a Big East championship, and that was a nice coup for our teams. You
made the trip with the team down to Nashville. Vanderbilt was the host school. What was the atmosphere like? You know, they had close to 2,000 people a game, you know, in Nashville. So they take their baseball pretty seriously, and they came out of there winning. They were really the class of those 4 teams. It would have been nice to have one more shot at them, but still a great season for baseball. And your tennis captain got a very prestigious overall Big East award. Tell us about that. Really a nice capstone to the end of the season. To, you know, baseball, and then Jimmy winning the Tranghese Postgraduate Award, which is really one of the highest academic honors the Big East has. So at the beginning of the season, we won the first academic award, so to speak, the graduation rate among the Big East, and now at the end, Jimmy's scholarship award is a nice way to wrap things up. Jimmy Repker from Covington Catholic, and he has postgraduate studies on his mind after disappointing with a 3.94 GPA. Unbelievable. He apparently had 1B. That's what you had, right? Yeah. I don't think so. 1B in his whole Xavier career, probably, and he's going to go on. And not bad. Yeah. He's going to go to medical school or in business school, both. That's what I've heard, yeah. Sheesh. Again, just like you, right? Some people are pretty cerebral, me not included, that's for sure. Plenty of news surrounding the men's basketball program, and first and foremost, the leader of that program, Chris Mack, has been signed until the 2019-2020 season. That sounds right. 6 years. It was a 2-year extension, and that was something that was in the works virtually the day after the North Carolina State game, and we had it all buttoned up, and then we're waiting for some clean air to make the announcement. But you know, Chris does such a terrific job with the program. We're absolutely pointed in the right direction. He's great to work with. He loves Xavier. Never want to take him for granted or what he's done. Certainly paid appropriately within the Big East you know, peer group. And the bigger part of the conversation, it was less about Chris, more about his staff and
trying to fill any gaps we've got around the program to make sure that we're always built the right way. At the end of the day, basketball is pretty important to Xavier, and you know, we need to be successful. So part of that is having the right people in place. Part of that's being structurally built the right way, and that was a bigger part of our conversation, frankly, than Chris's contract.
I think the staff continuity is so important in basketball, and you know, all these guys have been working with Chris now for an appreciable period. They all know their roles. They're all totally bought in. It's great to have Travis and Mario and all those guys locked in.
The continuity is important. I'm a realist. You know, I don't know that continuity stays forever. I'm not sure anything is forever, but as long as, again, you've got the structure built the right way, you stand a good chance of A, keeping that continuity, but B, even if you do have to replace a part, you're in the marketplace at the right number to be able to get somebody really high quality.
There has been a little bit of movement, well, more than a little bit. Dante Jackson's always been one of my favorites, and he has moved from the graduate assistant level to a full-time assistant now at Northern Kentucky University. They're at D1. They're moving toward getting NCAA tournament eligible. Should be a great move for Dante, and I think he's got a great future.
He really does. He did such a great job for our program. Terrific first opportunity for Dante. You know, there's a good example right there when you say continuity, but those two GA positions are always going to turn over with regularity. So, but it was great for Dante.
And you know, I was personally pleased when the crosstown shootout returned and the Classic went bye-bye after 2 years, and the 10-year agreement with the UC Bearcats and all that. I had a little bit to do with the popularizing of that name back in the 80s. I'm not going to take full credit for it, but I think it's appropriate that it's back. And kudos to you and to your counterpart at UC, Mike Bone, for negotiating this, because it seemed, you know, from the outside, it was a little tenuous for a while, but it looks like it's been put back in place where it belongs, and it works.
Whether it was Whit or eventually Mike, they both were terrific to work with. They both felt getting it back on campus was the right thing to do. I heard from fans on the UC side and the Xavier side saying, you know, please get it back to campus. So it was more about when could we get it back rather than if we get it back, I think was the tone of the conversation from the start. But I think the series is in the right place now. And then the other part was trying to take it off the table, so a long-term solution so that we don't have to keep coming back every 2 years and having the same conversation over and over. There
have been some interesting developments on the scheduling front for Xavier men's basketball. First off, there's been a change in the structure of the Wake Forest Skip Prosser Classic contract.
You know, Ron and I talked about that. Ron Wellman is the Wake Forest athletics director, and he's actually a Bowling Green alum, so we were talking about it even before I came to Xavier last spring about possibly restructuring the series. We both want to keep playing each other. It's the right type of matchup, the private institution, values-based institutions. But we also thought it might be better with both of us having conference changes to change the structure a little bit. So that's what we did with that series. And the other part is we've been announcing some of our non-conference games as we have finished the contracts over the last few weeks, and we'll continue to do that. Rather than one lump sum announcement, let's get a few of these games out into the marketplace so our fans know who we're playing, when we're playing, rather than waiting till just one fell swoop in September.
And 3 more of those non-conference games have just been recently released. What's Auburn on the road, IUPUI home, and Murray State will be a home game here at Cintas.
Yeah, you know, Jason Gardner will go from player to coach when IUPUI comes to town, and then you know, Murray State certainly had a nice season last year, and then we get to see Bruce Pearl again for a couple of years with Auburn.
There's been some transition in player and the player roster for Xavier after the season. 3 are leaving and 1 has been added. It seems like there's a lot more movement these days in players on every level in D1.
You know, you're right, Andy, and I know it frustrates some fans, and I'm not saying it's healthy. And in fact, I would say the amount of movement in college basketball isn't healthy, but it's also reality.
Yeah.
I saw the statistic just 2 days ago that 40% of Division I college players change in their first 2 years. I think that's a remarkable statistic. And again, is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. It is real. And if you look at the 3 players that left our program, all for different reasons, and they had their reasons. Justin looking for a little bigger stage. Samaje, obviously, from a professional standpoint, heading on, and Kamal, just realizing, I think that he wasn't going to be able to play here. So from that standpoint, everybody has different reasons, but it all adds up to there's a lot more movement in college basketball today than there was 10 and 20 years ago. The
added player, Larry Austin Jr., was, kudos again to the Xavier coaching staff for being aware of his situation. Hanzo Martin took the Cal job. I guess Austin Jr. didn't want to go west. He's like a St. Louis guy.
Right.
And he'd committed to Tennessee. They let him out of his letter, and he's a pretty interesting player.
Instead of the Fab Five, we've now got the Fab Six, so that's a heck of a recruiting class. It's going to be fun to watch them develop come November.
And Austin Jr. gives you another option at point guard.
Yes, so absolutely.
It'll be quite a battle. I think there are 4 of them that all have the potential to play big minutes at the point. So it'll be interesting. There's also been a lot of talk about NCAA governance issues and this Division IV. We have 3 now. They're talking about Division IV. I guess that has to do with the huge football schools.
It started as a football issue, but it's kind of morphed into some rhetoric related to, do we want to take our toys and go create our own sandbox? And it's hard to tell where this is going to go, Andy. And again, a lot of conversation, but you've got take your pick of lawsuits, take your pick of governance issues, all kind of ringing around one side, pushing college athletics to something a little more marketplace based. I think that's the phrase I've used before. And again, I don't know that it's healthy. I don't know that we do a great job sometimes of managing our own knitting, but whether or not the BCS schools can just arbitrarily create a Division IV, I don't pretend to know the rules well enough, but it seems like they need everybody else to help create that. What they are asking for is more autonomy, and then at the end of the day, if they don't get that, they say that, again, they may march away from the NCAA. But it's train wreck is a word that sometimes I come up with and or think of when I look at all this that's around us. But you keep waking up each day trying to do the best that you can for your institution and collectively looking out for all of college athletics.
The summer season is upon us, and I think people might be interested. Cintas Center doesn't shut down. It doesn't totally stop operation. You don't turn off the electricity.
Not at all.
This play, and I know Oak Hills High School, my district, we've had our graduations here for ages, and there are a lot of other schools. This is like a factory here with high school graduations.
Yeah, a lot of people think that basketball games are kind of the centerpiece when you talk about how many people come to Cintas. It's actually not basketball. We put more people in here for non-basketball events than come into the building for basketball. And we just finished graduation season, so the court is actually going back down as we speak right now, so the players can get back out on that instead of the practice court. But all told, close to 500,000 people come through this building each year, and only 150,000 of them or so are tied to basketball. So it gives you a sense of the amount of use that Cintas gets for outside community use, which is great. I mean, that's what Cintas was built for community engagement and bringing Cincinnati to the Xavier campus.
Greg, I'm sorry to inform you, this program will not air. This podcast next month, July, we'll take a hiatus.
We've been dropped?
We've been dropped. I guess, we'll go into summer reruns or whatever. But we will be back in August, I'm told.
Fair enough.
So we will gather our stories and our composure, and Ask the Athletic Director will return early in the month of August before you leave for Brazil.
Sounds
probably.
good. Better be pretty early then.
Yeah, because that's like August 4th or something. So we'll see you, not in July, but in August.